Welcome to another AriasWave update. Okay, so basically what I've done here is lay out the actual wave count for this move that's happening in the Dow Jones. As you can see, we've had confirmation of a breakdown in this pattern now. Earlier on in the day, I was seeing this E wave move up and I thought, interesting. But looking at the 15-minute chart, I could tell that it was coming back up to meet that 500 period moving average. And what did it do? It actually touched it and then rejected it and broke back down toward the bottom of the previous move, which was a D wave, in my opinion, using AriasWave. And as you can see right now, it's just breaking lower. So this basically goes to confirm that the move that I had anticipated back here around, say, the 10th of November, basically like 10 days ago, is coming to fruition after a series of, highs and lows, patterns unfolding, in my opinion, really just basically adhering to what I call AriasWave, right? So I have been speaking about this more lately and talking about how there are only two patterns in the market, zigzags and five-wave moves. So once you start to put those together in a certain way, you start to see that there's only basically going to be one outcome to a complete pattern, and that's going to be a breakdown after you complete a certain pattern. And I believe that we have seen that pattern complete since, I suppose in this case you can go pretty far back as not only June 2020 but before that. So if we go back to the DJI chart, I'll run it past you one more time. Basically this is a wave 5 of a wave 3 which started way back in 80, roughly 84. I mean, you could say it started before that, but interest rates did definitely top around, 81. But the point is not really that. The point is that we're looking at every chart individually, and we can see that, according to this count, we've hit the end of wave 3. So whether you want to believe it or not is completely up to you. I mean, I'm not a financial advisor here, but when you go and you look at the waves in general and you add two and two together, you can definitely see that there's something going on, right? Now, of course, it's never a good idea to try and pick tops and bottoms. We all know that. But when you start to see like a certain amount of waves completed, you kind of like, and mind you, I've had the most bullish view for a long time, but I've also started mixing in a lot of crypto analysis and things like that. But um, does this mean that I'm bearish on Bitcoin now? Well, actually, it does mean that. It does. Okay. So, I mean, I put out an idea on this already previously, but I'm not about to do that right now. Right now, I'm really, really very curious on this pattern. So, what is the entire pattern since June 2020? And that's the part that I really want to highlight in this video, is that it's actually an ending diagonal. Now, it's not called an ending diagonal in AriasWave terms, but for those who aren't familiar with AriasWave, well, that's what I'm going to call it for you, basically. But in terms of AriasWave, this is basically like it's basically a type 1 weak 5-wave move. Okay. So there's there are 3 different variances to a 5-wave move. And this is what I call a type 1. Okay. So basically wave 1 was 3-wave move. Wave 2 correction. Wave 3 was a 3-wave move. Wave 4, correction. And this particular move that we've seen recently, since around the end of September, has actually been a 3-wave move. Now, what kind of 3-wave move is that? Well, it's what I call a type 2 expanded zigzag. Okay, now, if you know what that means, and like I've said to you before, these videos are mainly geared towards my members, right? Because how can you understand something you have no idea about, right? It's impossible, right? So what that means is that zigzags can expand, right? So 1, 3, waves 1 and 3 were zigzags. Wave 5 is a zigzag, but it's the kind of zigzag that really didn't have much strength left in it. So therefore, it produced an expansion of the B wave. Okay, so if I was to say, like, okay, well, where did A wave end? Where does B wave end? It would be basically right like this. Okay, so anything between this point here and this point here is completely corrective, right? Completely corrective. And then so basically you're left with these two patterns, which is A and B, A and C, right? So you got A, B, C, 3-wave move. Okay. So using that basic analysis, right, which is pretty basic once you learn AriasWave, you then start to look for what we're seeing now. Now, not only did I identify the the top here, which is this lovely pattern here, which it looks like a very beautiful head and shoulders pattern, right? It's not really about that. That's just something that I just saw. Like I've mentioned before, it happened in August 2020 in gold, right? It's just a pattern, whatever. It's really got nothing to do with what I'm all about. But it's more to do with the fact that we're moving lower. Okay, so whether you like to admit it or not, we are moving lower. Okay, regardless of whatever you're thinking, right? To me, price is the best indicator, and nothing goes up forever in a straight line. It's as simple as that. So what I see here is basically like a 1. 2 is the entire price action after this point here, ending around recently, right here. Okay, so if we go back to that 15-minute chart, you can see that that is actually right at exactly at the 500 period moving average. Now, throughout my experience, right now, obviously AriasWave, I use the waves as my main source of information, right? Everything is all about the waves, right? But there are certain tools that I use at particular times that help me understand certain things. Like, for example, I'll use the RSI to determine wave 3 price action, and I'll also use the 500 period moving average as well as the 1000 period moving average. And once again, it has shown itself to be quite an interesting way to look at the markets in conjunction with the waves, right? Never on their own. Okay, on their own, they don't mean diddly squat, basically. But as you can see, it hit that point right there and it just completely crumbled. But at the same time, there's a very important, significant meaning to this move that just happened, which is breaking the start of wave E. Okay? The start of wave E was broken. So therefore, this here is confirmation that we are now in a wave 3 to the downside. Okay? So this is the beginning of a wave 3 to the downside. Okay? So I don't know how many times I have to say that. If you still don't understand that this is happening, that's okay. It might take you some time to wrap your head around it, because obviously um, we're always used to seeing everything go up in a straight line, and obviously since March 2020 that's been the case, but nothing lasts forever. Okay, I don't know what world you come from, but the world that I come from, nothing lasts forever. Okay, so welcome to my world. Anyway, so I suppose at this point in time, it's more a case of, well, we need to see some follow through with this pattern at the 4 hour chart. Now that we've moved this far down, um, it's time to, I suppose, brace ourselves for lower prices, which in turn will probably affect the crypto market. Um, Most of them, there are certain cryptos that might weather the storm a little. As I've noticed, some of them don't really. They're kind of recession proof, you could say, but that's just something that I've just noticed. That doesn't mean that's true, but um, given what we're about to see, in my opinion, there is a possibility that this could be pretty deep in terms of correction. Okay. So if this is just the beginning of wave three, then most likely we're going to see something that produces some kind of head and shoulders pattern. Because, I mean, at the end of the day, head and shoulders patterns are simply just part of a technical pattern, right? So we might see something move down like this, bounce a bit, and then obviously continue lower, because, I mean, that'd be some kind of head and shoulders pattern, right? I mean, it's a technical pattern, right? You get 5 waves up, you get 5 waves down. It's the start of a new move. Exactly the same as what we just saw at the top there. Like when I said to you about 10 days ago that you should be paying attention to this area. Okay. Now, probably a lot of people might have taken it as a joke and probably thought, oh, yeah, he's been bearish before and he's kind of messed it up worse than Harry Dent. But I don't think anybody can be as bad as Harry Dent. But you know what? You may have to give him a call, because something is definitely happening here. Maybe you might want to pull up some of his videos and check it out. Gregory Mannarino may have to. Well, actually, he does cover his ass a little bit and sort of say, we could be, it's going to work until it doesn't. Right? Nothing goes up in a straight line forever. As good as Mr. Gregory Mannarino thinks he is, he also understands that there are certain risk factors that are at play, and his little MMRI indicator is heading north to suggest that risk is actually increasing. So props to him for being him, I suppose. Like, very entertaining indeed. Right. So aside from that, I mean, it's still early days. I shorted this thing back up when I saw that pattern line. To me, that was a very, very good indication that we were seeing something. And I'll tell you where that is. It's roughly around here. I'll make that a bit thicker there so you can see it. That big, thick thick blue line there that I've just put in there. I'll change it to white right there so you can see. Right. Now, who has the guts to short the market at that point? Well, I've already made a profit. I've had an opportunity to take profit, but because of the AriasWave set of corrective patterns that I've seen, there was no reason for me to do that. And this move that I've recently seen move up earlier today was completely retraced, right? And in a sharp, impulsive manner to suggest that we are definitely moving lower. Now, if you think that that's going to just suddenly bounce, then, well, I suppose you'll find out yourself whether or not that happens, and so will the rest of us. But at this point in time, like, when you count 5 waves up in all degrees of trend, like literally all degrees of trend, whether it's just from the June 2020 low or end of wave E, or whether you're talking about, like the chart I showed you earlier. I mean, eventually there comes a point in time where the cycle completes. So don't think that something's going to go up in a straight line forever. Not even Bitcoin can go up forever. Okay. I know it's probably not what a lot of people want to hear, but reality check, let's just be real here. Okay. So this is my take right now. At the moment, if you want to short this without having shorted from the top, like I was crazy enough to do, if you want to move your stop lower in case you did, then you'd probably want to move it down to about 36,053 where the red line is, because we've already had the confirmation at the break of the end of wave D, which is the start of wave E. The magenta line was broken at around 35,600 and 57. So to me, at this point in time, I'm going to go to bed probably very soon. In Australia, it's like almost 3 a.m. I'm going to have some easy sleeping. Have some nice dreams of some profits there. But I suppose I've seen everything that I need to see at this point. I don't have any doubts that this is going to move lower. It's getting more impulsive. And I suppose we will find out soon enough where this is all going. So I will be coming out, as I said to you previously, I will be coming out with more updates that, resonate with this kind of analysis across the board, basically. And I'm going to tell you exactly what I think's going to go up and what's going to go down, whether it's in a market update, in a 20-minute video, or whether it's across quite a few different videos. I will decide very shortly, depending on what I want to say and if I can fit it into all the video, all of one video or what have you. So hopefully you found this video interesting and informative. Thank you for watching.